It says live.
Hello and welcome, guys. Thank you once again for joining me for another Facebook Live. Also, want to give thanks for those that are joining me on the replay from YouTube and or SoundCloud. I have here with me tonight my special guest, Miss Faith Lane. Welcome.
Hi.
All right, today we're continuing on our series where we're talking about suffering in silence, things we women tend to suffer in silence. And tonight we're looking at loss. Loss in any form can be difficult for us all, but particularly when we're losing the people that are closest to us. And that's why I brought in some reinforcement with me tonight. Miss Faith Lane, she's gonna share some resources with you guys as it relates to loss, so that we know that we cannot get out of life alive, excuse me. We cannot get out of life alive. One thing for sure, as sure as we live, one day we're all gonna have to taste death. So she's gonna be here to share some resources with us. But also, I want Miss Lane to just give you an introduction of who she is and what her platform looks like.
All right. Well, I appreciate you having me on your platform tonight, and we finally put a face to the voice. I actually had Miss Ann on my radio station on my platform, so we never did get a chance to see each other in person. But so it's really, I really appreciate you inviting me on. Just a little bit about me. I'm originally from Buffalo, New York, but I live in the Charlotte area now. I For the last 5 years I've been learning, teaching, and earning, but mainly learning and teaching about financial literacy. And so I'm gonna share some information with you guys tonight. And I'm super excited, to share some of the information. And a lot of this information I did not know until I was 46 years old. And so, if I know that if I didn't learn it until 46, I know a lot more people haven't. So I'm just going to share a couple of things with you guys, and it's not going to take a long time. It's very quick, and that's just a little bit about me.
All right. Well, guys, we know that we're talking about loss, and for many of you that know me around this area, you know that 2020 has been very difficult for me. In January, losing my dad, and then having to uh, still take care and watch after the estate while waiting for court and different things like that. So it's just like we're in a standstill mode. Now, on top of that, when we lose our loved ones, there is a grieving process that we have to go through. And some of us go through it well, and some of us not so well. And I really don't know how I've dealt with the loss of my dad, because to me, I'm still in that state of where everything is still so real. I mean, it's just like I think about him and I'm doing certain things, and it's almost as if I could hear his voice, and it's sometimes like a deja vu or a dream, and I think, well, sooner or later it's going to be all over. I'm going to wake up and realize that this is just going to pass. But on top of that, dealing with all the emotions and the things that go along with loss, there has to come a point to where I have to realize that this is a part of life. And we don't want to lose the people we love, but we know that as sure as we live, death is going to come knocking at our door at one time or another. And it's going to be death of someone that's close to us. And that can be hard, that can be difficult. And when we're going through that loss and suffering through that loss, we feel alone. sometimes there can be 100 people in the room with us, and we still feel like we are alone. And so we just need that time to grieve and process and just try to understand a little bit about life. Because when I lost Dad, it was something about losing him that just shifted my whole aspect, my whole perception of what life is. And then I listened to him there those last few days talking about the things that he would have done or that he wished he would have done, the places he wanted to go, and kind of the dreams that he never pursued to come to pass because he was waiting on a certain time in his life to do that. And so now when you see me and you hear me talk to you, my whole attitude, everything about life has changed. It just changed my whole perspective. And I know that some of you out there, you've lost kids, and I realize that that can be one of the hardest losses that we could ever taste here in life, because no parent wants to think about losing their child or them outliving their child, you know, that because in our minds, that's just not the way that life is set up to be. So we lose our child, we lose spouses, we lose our parents, and then other family members that mean a lot to us and that play a very important role in our lives. But guys, while you're suffering in that, I want to stand with you tonight as you stand with me in that grief, in that pain, in that lonely place, in that stage of grief where we're stuck. And let's stand together and just wrap our arms around one another. Let's send out hearts and love, just embracing one another, letting us know that we are not alone, that when you lose, I lose with you. And when you're in pain, I share that pain with you. And when we can do that as women and stand up for one another and be supportive and encouraging and just lending that hand to know that, yes, you lost, but I want you to know that I'm your sister and I'm here for you. And, you know, you don't have to go through alone. And whatever you need, I'm here for you. And so that makes all the difference in the world, just to know that I am not alone. And that even in my toughest moments, even when my thoughts are all over the place and I'm hurt and I'm angry and I'm frustrated in this loss that I've had, that somebody is standing there with me, being supportive. They're not judgmental, and they let me feel what I need to feel at that time. And that's what we want to be for each other, ladies. We want to be that support, that genuine support, to just share with one another. So stand with me today as we do that. Let me know that you're there standing with somebody. And for those that you know that have lost loved ones, which we know that if you searched media throughout today has been very devastating for a lot of people around the country. We have young men losing their lives. That was somebody's child. Do you hear me? That was somebody's dad. Those were somebody's uncles, cousins, you know? So we have to wrap our arms around people and just reach out and let them know that if you're going through, I'm going through with you. Now, we have Miss Faith Lane. She's here, and it's to help you understand, guys, that we're going to face loss, and we don't know where that loss is going to come from. But one thing I think that is important for me to share with you is that there are preparations that you need to make in the event that loss comes knocking at your door, guys. And that's why I have Miss Faith Lane here, and I'm gonna uh, yield the floor to her so that she can come and share with you some information to help you prepare and begin to think about the steps you need to put in place in the event you experience loss during what is already such a troubling time. Miss Faith Lane?
Thank you. And I'm sorry to hear about your father passing away. And trust me, I know that pain. I lost both of my parents. I still have my stepdad,
Bless you.
which was the guy that took care of me. But it's been 17 years since my mom passed away, and it still don't get any it don't get any better. I mean, I still have the same exact pain in my heart right
Yes,
now
ma'am.
as I did the first time somebody told me that she passed away.
Yes, ma'am.
So you definitely not alone.
Well, I appreciate you standing with me.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I want to talk about a couple of things because I know in my field I work in financial services, and some of the things I do is life insurance that has living benefits. I also do retirement planning, planning for college and things like that, and annuity investments. But the thing I want to talk about today that's more important, the most important is the living benefits, the life insurance policies that have living benefits inside of them. Most people think that nowadays that life insurance is just about death. But if you think about it, more people are living today with heart attack, stroke, cancer, loss of limb. But so that could still be a tragedy, but people still are living longer with those elements. And so I want to talk about how you can actually use your life insurance policy, not just for death, but also for the living. And so a couple of things we use it as, we call it income protection, we call it mortgage protection. And the reason why we call it mortgage protection and income protection, because the Census Bureau did a study a couple of years ago, and they found that 66% of the population, they went into bankruptcy or foreclosure. It was because they had a critical, terminal, or chronic illness, which means a heart attack, stroke, or cancer. And so if you think about it, most of the time if somebody have illnesses or injuries like that, they can't work, but those their bills still have to get paid. And so some of the financial plans that we put together for people, and they all custom made plans. Not all the plans have all the living benefits in them. They might just have a terminal illness in it, but at the same time, it still can help you out. So if in the event that any of those things do happen, you can actually take a portion of the policy, and it's tax free and is not borrowed. It comes from the policy. You can actually have access to the cash on there to help you pay bills. And some people even get enough to pay their house off with, to cover their whole house. And so that could actually help them also pay their house off. But it's just about, sitting down 15 to 20 minutes with an agent to help you out with those plans. And it's a custom made plan, so it can help you out with any, depending on your health, your age, your height, your weight, if you smoke. All of these things are custom into the plans that we have. I do um, work with over 15 different companies, so which means that even if you already have diabetes, even if you already have high blood pressure, even if you already have cancer, even if you already have HIV or AIDS, we could still find a plan for that person, and it's a custom made plan. Um, I wanted to share a quick flip chart with you guys right quick, just so you can get a better visual. I really like to show this particular video. Matter of fact, if you don't mind, Miss Ann, I'm gonna show you the video
Okay,
instead,
go
okay?
ahead. Hmm.
Because people can more relate to seeing a face with the story, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I was one of this one particular lady, I want to share her video. I actually used to use her video for advertising, but I
Name of was
one
on
minute,
your
just a
screen.
minute. Okay, here, go right here. I used to use her video for advertising, and but I ended up developing a relationship with her, a friendship, and she was a pretty nice lady. She had a living benefits policy before she got sick, developed breast cancer, and so I'm gonna share her story with you guys. So I'm gonna just share my screen right quick, okay?
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we do now.
Okay, great. Her name is Natasha McCrae.
My living benefits
Can
story.
you hear that?
I'm 38 years old. I'm a single
Can you
mother
hear
of
me?
an 18-year-old.
The volume is a little low on my end.
Little late. Oh, low. Okay. Let me just go ahead and adjust that. I apologize. Okay. Okay. Let me know
My
if you
name is
can hear that.
Natasha McCray, and this is my
That's better.
living benefits story.
Okay.
I'm 38 years old. I'm a single mother of an 18-year-old, and I work in the banking industry.
I'm David Sutherland from Jacksonville, Florida, and I'm a living benefit life insurance agent. When I had first met Latasha, 30 years old, single mother with an 8-year-old son,
I am an avid gym goer. I was really in great health. Dave came over one afternoon.
she explained that what she was trying to accomplish was to protect her 8-year-old son in case something happened.
The idea that I liked the most about the living benefits, it gave me security to let me know that if anything happened to me, my son would still be taken care of.
What we ended up doing was a 30-year term policy for $250,000 with all the benefits included.
So I decided to put the policy in place with Dave. Years had gone by, and I'm just working every day, going to work, not thinking anything of it. And one day I get a phone call from my doctor, and they called to let me know that I was diagnosed with stage 2-3 breast cancer. It was one of the worst calls in my life. I literally thought I was like losing everything that I had always worked for. I had always been in great health. I had all these financial plans set. Just to hear that, it just made me feel like I was losing everything. I went into shock for about 2 days. I didn't eat. I couldn't really sleep. My doctors were basically some of the best doctors that we had, and they put a plan together how we were going to beat cancer. So it began with telling me the financial needs, of course, the surgeries that I would need. The funding itself was astronomical. My job was kind enough to say, well, we'll give you time off, but it will be unpaid. Therefore, I really didn't have any income coming in to take care of my mortgage, to take care of my son. My insurance didn't cover 100% of my chemotherapy, and I couldn't afford it. I had stocks, I had savings, but it was nothing compared to the money that I would need to take care of the chemotherapy.
She happened to call and say, I need to cancel my plan. I have a health crisis, and I've been diagnosed with breast cancer. And I said, well, no, you don't need to cancel your plan to try and save premium. You need to put in a claim.
Through my job, I had great health insurance. I always thought that because I had great health insurance, I was always covered. Chemotherapy wasn't covered 100% with my insurance. So the living benefit really came in and helped me take care of those chemo treatments, my radiation, my surgeries, my biopsies. There's a lot of things associated with cancer that the insurance companies
That's right.
not cover.
That's what gets people in trouble financially. And that's why you have a plan with living benefits that you don't have to die to use your plan.
I really didn't have income coming in to put gas in my car to pay my car note. And I remember speaking with my doctors, and they told me this financial plan was going to cost thousands. One of the first plans that I received was $20,000.
The claims process took 2 to 3 weeks at the most. And then Latasha called me one day and just said, "Hey, I just got a check in the mail today for just a little over $65,000." She still has almost $170,000 of a remaining benefit that's still existing.
Even though I was still fighting cancer, I still had surgeries, I still had to recover from. Financially, I didn't have to fight through anything because the living benefits plan was there. I just wanted to make sure that my son didn't feel that his mom was sick. He knew I was sick. It was something that I was living through. I didn't want it to affect him at all. He still had his cable, still had his games. And I know to a lot of people that's not important, but to me, it was important for me to feel like I'm fighting this, not he's fighting this cancer. Through a total of 9 surgeries, and 2 years later, I've been cancer free, 2 years December. and my life is like taking a total turn for the best.
She's back to living a normal life, and it's just a very rewarding, fulfilling thing to have been a small part of that.
The living benefit plan is something that everybody needs to look into, to spare just a few moments of your time, whether it's 30, 40, $50 a month. This is your future that you're thinking about. A lot of people say, I love my kids. If you love your kids, think about your kids' future. Think about your future with your kids, and think about your kids' future without you. If you're not thinking about all of these things, then you're you're really not planning for a future at all. And the living benefits plan basically makes sure that your kids are taken care of, you're taken care of, your illness is taken care of. Money isn't everything, but when you're battling cancer, it's a whole lot off of
And
you. My name is
so,
Latasha
wait
Moran.
1 minute, just a minute. Let me turn it off.
I'm
Sorry.
38 years old. I'm a single mother of an 18-year-old, and I work in the banking
Oop,
industry.
That
I'm
video
David
really
Sutherland.
is.
sorry about
I'm
that.
from Florida, and I'm a
Okay, sorry about that. Is my speaker still too loud?
It's a little loud, yes.
Okay, just a minute. Yep, I have to turn it down a little bit.
Okay,
All right, how was that?
that's good. Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed that when I play the video, I have to turn the sound up.
Mhm.
But uh, I like to show that video. I actually have a couple of them I like to show when I'm talking to married couples because married couples can relate. And so one of the reasons why I like to use the married couple one because they say 85% of widows under the age of 50. Well, first of all, they say that women live longer than men, but men usually are the breadwinners. But men don't live that long as women. So what was happening in our community that with married couples, a lot of the ladies would lose their husband. They don't have any coverage outside of their job because everything we talk about is outside the job, not inside the job, because that's not guaranteed at your job. If you get fired, laid off, or quit. Now think about we got 30 million people out on unemployment, which means they don't have any life insurance. And so one of the reasons why I want to talk to you about this whole subject because now before we used to have like maybe one family member passing at a time because of this pandemic, now we have multiple family members. I spoke with a woman last week that her sister and her niece and her nephew, all of the same household, died in the same week. And so imagine trying to bury just one person and then trying to figure out how to bury the other two people. And so that's one of the reasons why I want to come on your platform and we talk about it. And I'm definitely going to be talking about it more on my platform because the reason why people don't have insurance, first of all, mind you, not even let alone the new life insurance with the living benefits, it was because of education. And some of the stuff when people talked to me about life insurance in the beginning, I thought it was just for death. I wasn't even thinking that if I had kids, that's to leave my kids a legacy, leave some money for them to live off of in the event that I got sick. So that I passed away. But imagine if I got sick or I got cancer or I lost a limb, and you got little kids and you're too sick to work. Imagine, having to pay that extra money that the job insurance don't pay. It don't cover all of that. You have to pay, like listen to Natasha, she had to pay $20,000 on her part. Most people don't have that. But you can actually have access to the cash on your policy. It's not cash on your policy, but money from the policy to use that to pay your bills and pay for your therapies.
I know, just sitting here thinking back, um, I remember the doctors coming in and telling us what the options were for dad, in the event that he was approved for treatment and different things like that, how expensive it was going to be on the front end. So
Right.
what they did when they dismissed us is they pulled me to the side and they said, listen here, if he's approved for treatment, we need uh, the means to pay for this already set in line. We need it
Right.
already set in place. So you need to be going home trying to find out what kind of policies he has. You need to be reaching out, contacting what kind of funds you need to get in, what kind of monies you can get uh, in your hand up front. Because when
Right.
he's approved, we're just going to be ready to go, go, go. So
Right.
you have to do this ahead of time. So when someone is sick, that's not the time to
To be
be
worried about
looking
money.
and worrying about stuff like that.
Right.
These are things while we're healthy, while we're well, and while we're sitting at home and we're learning about this stuff. The time to act is now to start
Right.
putting these things in place. Because
Right.
when that family member or that loved one is sick and on their sick bed or their deathbed, you're going through that situation with them. So to have to be pulled apart to go and worry about trying to find thousands of dollars that you don't even maybe even know where it's going to come from and all that. Now is the time for preparation, guys.
Right. Well, it's funny that you say that, Miss Ann, because and first of all, before I say something, actually one of my clients is actually on my Facebook Live, and I just want to thank her for even being open enough to listen, Miss Stroman, Mrs. Stroman. But yeah, yeah, I mean, that's the last thing that's on your mind to worry about scraping up enough money for therapies and things like that, for the medications. And then if that person don't even live long enough, then you have to work. First, you have to scrape up the money for the for whatever medical needs they need, and then you got to scrape up money for burial. And so a lot of people they go for the GoFundMe, and the GoFundMe do not work. Right now, I have a young lady. Right now, her mom passed away, and she has 6 siblings. And the mother never did sit down and talk to me because, of course, she was educated. She just thought about I don't want to talk about death, but I'm not talking with you just about death. I want to talk about help you live long enough for so you can help your kids. And so she 19-year-old young lady and has 6 siblings that she has to take care of her on her own. And so it was just really sad to hear this young lady have to go through this. And she only worked at Subway. The rent was $1,200 a month, and she still had to help feed her siblings. So of course, when me and some of my colleagues put some money together, but still, that's not enough to take care of those kids until they get out of high school, they turn 18. But if they would have had the living benefits, including the life insurance in that package, she would have been able to take care of her siblings. They would have been able to stay in their home. So right now, there's a lot of women and kids out here that's losing their homes because they don't have any insurance, or the husband or the fathers don't have insurance, or even the mother don't have insurance to help take care of these kids. Now, one of the things that the other thing, one of our plans that we do have that I really sell a lot with people that have children under the age of 18. This particular plan, say for instance, if something happens to the parent, it'll actually pay the legal guardian, whether it be the other parent or whoever's taking care of the kid, it'll pay them $900 a month per kid until that kid turn 18 years old. And it also has a scholarship that the kids can use up to age 25, and it also has a free will in that package included with the living benefits. And that one particular company is a nonprofit organization. They've been in business for 140 years. And so I love selling some of those products to help people that have young kids and if they're healthy. And most of the plans, you don't have to go for medical, you don't have to do a medical background, do blood and urine, I should say, unless you want a policy that's over the limit, of course, $1 million or whatever, of course, you have to go for blood and urine. But yeah, you don't have to, do that necessarily. One of the things is I like to help people, if they can't afford the full amount that they can that they really need, because I really teach people to get 8 to 10 times the amount of their income. So because of course if something happened to you, would you want your kids to live at the same pace or better? And so those some of the things that we talk about when I sit down and talk to people. to help them understand this is the reason why. So it's kind of helping people get out of that mindset of trying to get a $5 or $10,000 policy. $5 or $10,000 is not burying anyone these days. And so it's all about just sitting down, being educated. It takes 15 to 20 minutes just to sit down and let you show you exactly what we do and then put a financial plan together for people. What I also like is one of the other plans we have, it not only do it has the life insurance and living benefits, but it also has a component for investments on the side to help you get on track for retirement. And all of this is outside of your job. Because if you think about it, the job is only going to give you one times the amount of your income. So if you only make 50,000, it's going to give you 100,000. But is that enough to be taken care of? To me, that's not a lot of money. So we want to teach you how to get 8 to 10 times the amount in your income. So if you make 50,000 a year, let's show you how you could get 500,000. And if you can't get 500,000, let's try to work with the budget that you have. And then one of the other things I do, a lot of people do say they don't have enough money to pay for the amount that they really need. So one of the things I also do is I train and develop other people to show them how to make some extra income. Then that way they can have the money, even if they come and help one family a month. Help one family a month, that could pay you extra $500 or $700 working 1 hour. And that could right there definitely get you the amount of money you need to pay a full policy. And so it's just about being open-minded to learn something different. And one of the other things too, I was talking to a lady the other day, and I said this pandemic right here was a reset button God gave all of us for us to change our mindset, change our circumstances, and change what we're thinking. Because I'm not saying not to have a job, but you got to have something different on the side, something build a foundation for you and your family, which means building a legacy, having some type of um, business on the side that you can build for you and your family and your kids. Not always working for somebody else and doing it for somebody else. And that's what I like about what we do. An agency full of entrepreneurs with a positive mindset. And even if we came, I'm not gonna lie, when I first came in this industry, I used to have, I call it stinking thinking. But it's all about being open again and when I have go do personal development, reading, reading and things like that, and start being around positive people, and then you will start opening up your mind more to want to learn something different. And so I used to tell people I was 46 years old when I started learning this information. And I used to tell people I have 46 years of junk in my head that was all lies. It was all lies because if you think about it, and it's not our parents or our grandparents' fault of what we were taught. It's just they taught us what they was taught,
What they knew. Yeah.
and it was like to go to school, get good grades, go to college. When I finish with college, I'm gonna get a good job and go throw
Yeah.
my money in the bank. And when they told me about this thing called the Rule of 72, I started crying, Miss Ann. I cried like a baby because and one of the things I want to explain to you about this thing called the Rule of 72, I call it the thing. It's
Uh-huh.
a banker's rule. Most people don't know about it, but I want you guys to look it up. And this rule basically is a rule that Albert Einstein made up. And this rule says if you take the number 72, you divide it into your interest wherever you put your money at. It's
Yeah.
going to tell you how many years it takes your money to double. And so when they showed me this rule, they asked me, "Where do you normally keep your money?" I said, "In the bank." And because but most people keep their money under the mattress in the
Yeah.
drawers and under all kind of crap. I had a girl tell me she leave her money in her trunk. I was like, "What if somebody steal the car? They got your money too." But anyway, when they told me about this rule and I multiplied that 72 into the interest rate that I have my money at the bank, it told me my money was not, if I put $1 in the bank, it told me my money was not going to turn to $2 until 246
Yeah.
years. I cried like a baby. I said, "Well, wait a minute now." So even if I put it in the credit union, they said the credit union is 72 years. for $1 to turn to $2. So if you think about it, our parents keep telling us to put our money in the bank. How is your money working for you in the bank? And then even if we save it at our job, the job only give us a 3 or 6% interest rate,
Yeah.
right? But it's still only not, it's not doubling fast enough while we're alive. And so one of the things is I want to show you how to put your money in some places so it can work a little bit faster for you, so you won't have to, your great grand, or maybe 4 grands, be able to appreciate that extra dollar. So yeah, I mean, I'm just super excited about what I do, about my business. I'm super excited about expanding my vision and helping other people. Um, Serving people. I actually had got my licenses in multiple states. In North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas, Maryland, Pennsylvania. Did I say Texas? Yeah, Georgia. But I also have agents in New York, Florida, Minnesota, Texas, Alabama. I mean, they all over the place. South Carolina. So I have agents.
We're here in Oklahoma,
Right.
here. So do y'all offer benefits for those that may be thinking about setting up a plan for here in
Yeah.
Oklahoma?
Yes, ma'am. We actually do. We
So if somebody wanted to reach out to you and maybe find out more, how would they be able to reach you?
yes. Well, you can call me. My phone number is 240-640-5492. And also you can also send me an email, and that is F as in Frank Lane, LANE dot financial at yahoo.com. And I could send you some material, but I'd rather talk with you first and send you materials afterwards. Because if you think about it, if it's that easy to just send somebody a link, to get their stuff on track, nobody would be in trouble, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
financially. So I'd rather talk with you. So again, my phone number is 240-640-5492, and we could help people all the United States. So don't worry about that.
Right. Awesome. Awesome. That is some good information you shared with us, guys. And again, we know that loss is coming. We don't know how it's going to come. We don't know how it's going to affect our family. And we're standing together and we're supporting one another. But let's also be proactive and set a plan in place so that when it comes to knocking at our door, we have something set in place to help us. And then again, that allows us time to grieve and get through the process in the loss that we have, and to get through the difficult times that we will experience. Miss Faith Lane,
I
we
was
have
gonna.
a book that we want to share with you, and I'll get your information at the end of the broadcast when we come off live, so that we'll be able to gift you that book,
Oh, thank you.
complimentary of this platform and the supporters of this Facebook Live. And we just want you to know that we appreciate you taking out time. We know that you're in a different time zone than we are, and so you're an hour ahead of us. And so for you to sacrifice that time to come here tonight and to just share with us and give us that information, we are certainly grateful for that. And we do hope that another time you can come and just share with us and give us a more detail on some resources that are available, because it doesn't look like this pandemic is going to end anytime soon. It seems
Right.
like the numbers are increasing, but also, guys, even as the pandemic and the situations and the results of it increases, life is still happening. And I say that all the time. Life doesn't stop. So there are still people that are dying. There are still people getting sick outside of this pandemic. There's still issues that goes on in our lives and in our families. And we just have to find ourselves just pressing through so much. This is just another stone add up on the many things that we always have to deal with in life. It's just a cycle of life. So guys, let's help one another heal. Let's help one another be proactive about life. And when you have that conversation with your loved ones over this holiday season, please have the conversation. What kind of plans do you have in place? How are we preparing? Because we know that as sure as we live, death is coming to knock at our door, guys. So let's just prepare together. Miss Lane, do you have any last words that you'd like to share with our audience tonight?
Yes, exactly, I do. I want to say that a couple of things we've been running into. A lot of people said, you know what, call me after the pandemic. It's people that have not made it through this. It's people that didn't even know that it was going to be a pandemic. They never made it through. This is like right now, literally, is not the time not to not have it. And it's not the time to say, let me think about it. It's not the time to say, call me when it's over with. We got to find something. We have to, if we could go buy Jordans, if we can go to the club, if we could, all this extra stuff, if we could do that, we can find $40 or $50 to make sure our family is covered, meaning you and the kids and the husband. It's guys, we have to treat this as an emergency situation. It's people out here, the mother and father passing away and the kids have nothing. So you just shift your mindset and think about these things. So, and one more thing too, Miss Ann, they're in the process of changing the insurance laws because this pandemic. So, the time is now. I actually put a lady policy in last week, and while I was waiting for it to be approved, the law actually changed. So I had to end up going back and get more information. And so we have to act now while they're changing the laws. And you cannot wait for this. You have to get covered now, guys. And again, we will work with you according to your budget. Of course, if you're 50 or 60 years old and you smoke cigarettes, we can't give you $10 or $15 worth of insurance. So let's just be reasonable and think about covering your family as an emergency situation for you to do that now while you can, before they change all the laws on the insurance industry.
Awesome, great information. And I appreciate you guys for being here with us tonight once again. Please have the conversation with your loved ones. Send up some hearts. Let somebody know that you're standing with them throughout their loss, guys, and that they do not have to grieve in silence. They don't have to stand in silence anymore. They don't have to suffer in this silence. We are here for one another. I love you guys. We'll see you here tomorrow night, same time, as we talk again about things that we suffer in silence. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.